It's that time of the season again, Gunners. It is North London Derby weekend. This time around we're at White Hart Lane, or the Toilet Bowl, whichever it is now, I tend to forget. It's the one that we all dread and simultaneously look forward to. We're not in great form at this point, but you never know what can happen in the Derby. Let's take a look at what's coming up. The biggest headache Mikel will have ahead of this one, I think, is team selection. What does he do to fix the Premier League problems we've been having? Does he tinker things around? Does he throw some different faces in? Does he mix it up? Does he go more attacking? It's hard to say. I think we won't see a tremendous departure from what we've become familiar to. We can almost certainly expect to see Aubameyang up top. Whether he'll return to the left or whether he'll stay through the middle, that's a different question. But I think we'll see Aubameyang, and I think we'll see Lacazette as well. The fact that he came off against Rapid after about 60 minutes, 10 or 15 minutes earlier than he normally does, suggests he'll be involved. I think he'll be involved from the start. I tend to think that Mikel is going to look for some more security, and Lacazette brings that in a way that Ober on his own can't. He doesn't track back and drop into midfield as well, and I think Lacazette against Rapid showed the value of his link play. It's not always perfect, but him dropping in there into the number 10 sort of area, hassling midfielders and linking play between the midfield and attack, it works well. You can say what you want about the quality of opposition, and that's a valid point, but I think for this one we're going to need that extra layer of protection, and I think he'll come back in. Will we see any of the young guns? Difficult to say. Reece Nelson came off after about an hour or so against Rapid, which suggests he'll be involved in some capacity. I'm not convinced it'll be from the start, more likely from the bench, but rule nothing out. I mean, Reece is in excellent form. He's forced his way into contention in the Premier League. Is it about time he got a start? I think maybe yes. I think he brings something of an X factor in the absence of Pepe. He can be direct, he's quick, he's got a lot of energy. He's been knocking on the door for a while, so he'll certainly be involved, whether it's ahead of Willian in a front three or on the right wing is anyone's guess. Is a bit of a 50-50. I think Mikel will probably lean towards Willian and his experience in these big games, but Reece is certainly in the mix and knocking on the door. Joe Willock wasn't involved at all against Rapid, so he will more than likely be involved in the matchday squad. I don't think we'll see him from the start. I think he's had a couple of run-outs in an advanced position, an attacking midfield position, and it hasn't gone perfectly for him. That's more to do with the overall quality of Arsenal than it is any reflection on him. But I don't think this will be one for him. He brings a lot of energy and running and movement, which is great and what we need, but I think maybe a safety first policy will be more prudent for this one, so maybe the bench for Joe. Bukayo, I think will be starting. I think we can expect to see him start on the left of a three or on the left wing, because he's such a brilliant player and because he's such a valuable option and a talismanic player capable of producing some brilliance and an excellent ball from the left. Those qualities alone get him in the team, and I think those are the three lads who've got the best chance of the young guns of starting this one and being involved. I don't think Emile Smith-Rowe will be involved. I think it's a bit still too soon from him, even though he's been pretty productive. I don't think he'll make the squad either. Eddie Nketiah will probably make the bench, and that's probably the extent of it. Unless things are going badly wrong, I don't see there being a massive part for him to play. Perhaps if Lacazette starts running out of steam quite badly, he does seem to drop off after the 75th minute, or at least gets hooked regularly at that point and has done for years. So Eddie might have a cameo at best role to play. And good to see them in the squad, and good to see them involved, and good to see they've forced their way into contention. But for the large part, I think we're going to fall back on experience here. I think Mikel is going to, and I would support this, revert to the back five. Or the three central defenders at the back with the two wing backs, which worked so well for Arsenal when Mikel first arrived. It gives us a lot more solidity and protects us in a way that we may well need against the Mourinho team, which is likely to want to break and has the players to break quickly. And we can't really do as good a job with the back four protecting that as we can with the five. And given how weak our midfield is at the moment, we're going to need to be as solid at the back as possible. Xhaka and Ceballos have shown a timidity and a turgidity, if such a word exists, in the last 3 games, home games and the Leeds game as well, that I wouldn't really want to see them starting this one. It may be a case that we don't have a choice, but they've been so tepid that it won't bode well for us if those two take to the pitch at the same time, occupying the same position. They don't give us enough options and they're too slow, and we will be picked apart, I think, if they start. Much has been made of Thomas Partey's potential return to the lineup, and I think we're all crossing our fingers, hopefully not at the expense of his long-term health. If he does come in, that changes the game for us somewhat. I would expect, therefore, to see Elneny alongside him, and for those two to do, again, what they did at Old Trafford, which was to harry and hassle and push and pressure their opposite numbers all over the pitch, with the help of Lacazette dropping a bit deeper into those holes to help out. I think if those three play and that eventuality comes to pass, we will be competitive, because it's a strong combination, disciplined tactics, and they know what they're doing and they do it very well. I think that's our best chance, and I hope to see it. If Partey can't play, I think Elneny will come in. Who will partner him? Mikel will probably favour Granit because of his experience and because he seems to trust him as a leader. I don't think many of us would be particularly happy with Granit in the midfield for this game, but the boss sees him every day and knows his character better than we do, arguably. And as long as someone comes in alongside him who's going to be a bit more active and energetic in the shape of Elneny, then that offsets perhaps his weaknesses. As for our chances in this game, I think our chances hinge on stopping Tottenham breaking quickly and moving the ball quickly, which is something they've shown regularly this season and has won them a lot of points. They're currently at the top or thereabouts, and they've got there against a lot of expectations. I think Mourinho was expected to turn them into bus parkers extraordinaire, but they haven't quite been that bad. They've shown an attacking edge that we've desperately lacked. How much we'd love to see the goals they've scored in our team, whether or not they're performing above their expected goals rate, their XG, doesn't matter. The goals are going in, and we need to stop, in particular, Harry Kane and Son from doing to us what they've done to so many, and that will mean getting tight to them and hassling them and cutting off their supply. But we've got to be careful, I think, also for the shrewdness of their play. They're known divers and cheats and scumbags. They probably punch puppies in their spare time and throw limes at people in the street from high windows. And we need to be careful of their sneakiness, because they're going to be at it. If it's a tight game, particularly if it's a tight game, they're going to be looking for an advantage. And as Mourinho has more than likely done, he's turned them into a bunch of cunts, as he famously said in the Amazon documentary. And there's no better opportunity for cuntery than the North London derby. And God knows Harry Kane has won and scored a lot of penalties in this fixture, and I don't see him letting up on that front now. So the key men for this one, I've got Alex Lacazette for the Arsenal. I know he's not been in particularly great form, but he remains our top goal scorer, and he comes into this one somewhat revitalised after a pretty good game against Rapid. He scored an excellent goal, evocative of the early days Lacazette, and he was involved in a way that he hasn't been for quite a while. He's been quite restricted, quite stuffy, quite stolid up the top of the pitch, just doing some defensive work, and he's been quite wasteful as well with his link play. It hasn't clicked for him, but against Rapid it really did. We saw shades of his 2018, 2019 Lacazette, which was encouraging. So I think his stock has risen, and I think he will have an important part to play if he can pick up where he left off. If we can see more of that from him against Tottenham, that lively, energetic football, that's what he's best at, and he could prove key. If it's not a goal and assist, it may well be a neat interception or a passage of play or his overall work rate. So I think he'll be key for Arsenal if we're to get something from the game. As for Tottenham, I've gone inevitably with Son, who is scoring bags of goals and assisting plenty too. He's most dangerous when he peels off into space and on the break, and we've got to close that option down for him. He's a big source of service for Kane, so in stopping one we can stop, or we can go a long way to stopping both. So he's going to be important for them, and stopping him is going to be important. In terms of predictions for this one, it's really difficult to call. The North London derby is always difficult to call. Even if you're in rotten form, it always seems to go out of the window, and the playing field is levelled in the derby in a way that it isn't for other fixtures. Form doesn't count for too much. It still counts, of course. There will seldom be a time when it doesn't, but the derby brings out in both teams a rogue element, and I don't expect that to change for this fixture. I think it could go either way. Tottenham have got the edge. I think most of us can accept that they're in good form and we're not. But if we can stick to the sort of game plan that we saw at Old Trafford, if we can take our chances in a way that we haven't for weeks and weeks now, then we've got a puncher's chance. We've got to get Aubameyang involved. That's going to be key. If we can be as productive as we were against Rapid, we can get him in some good areas. We'll see what happens. I don't know if I'll take a draw at this point, but we can't be churlish about it. It's the darn sight better than a defeat, and we can't really afford to keep on this bad run that we're in. We need to snap it, and a draw does that. A win's the best, but sometimes you've got to be realistic. And that's that for today, Gunners. That's a quick rundown of the North London derby. It's a day we inevitably all dread and look forward to in equal parts. I don't know how this one's going to go. Tottenham fans being back in the stadium is a curveball, is an X factor. It worked for us against Rapid. Let's hope it doesn't work for them. Let's try and keep them quiet with some good early play. Fingers crossed you'll hear from me in jubilant mood Sunday night. If not, I'll disappear off the radar for Christmas. But thanks for listening so far. Give us a like, drop us a comment if you can. It's always appreciated. Until next time, take care.